Alrighty, here we go. Here we are again. This is session number 87, pardon me, chapter 12, section 2. All right, chapter 12 is entitled, once again, The Holy Spirit's Curriculum. And section 2 is entitled, The Way to Remember God. Okay. It's good information. So, let's just begin. Miracles are merely the translation of denial into truth. If to love oneself is to heal oneself, those who are sick do not love themselves. Therefore, they are asking for the love that would heal them, but which they are denying to themselves. If they knew the truth about themselves, they could not be sick. The task of the miracle worker thus becomes to deny the denial of truth. The sick must heal themselves, for the truth is in them. Yet having obscured it, the light in another mind must shine into theirs, because that light is theirs. Okay. There's a lot to unpack, as they say on the news channels these days. All right. So, to begin with, Jesus gives us a little definition of, another definition of a miracle. He says, miracles are merely the translation of denial into truth. Okay? In other words, we ask the Holy Spirit, help me to see correctly. Help me to translate what I'm seeing. Because what I'm seeing is taking place through the eyes of the ego, which is denial. The ego is the denial of who I truly am. Okay, I said, no, I'm not the Son of God. I am not the Christ. I am not the Christ in the oneness, all right, in the totality of all that is. I'm not that. Okay, I'm an individual. So that's the denial of truth. All right. So the miracle helps us to retranslate what we're seeing through the eyes of the ego into the eyes of the Holy Spirit, or Jesus, so to speak. Okay? So, miracles are merely the translation of denial into truth. If to love oneself is to heal oneself, those who are sick do not love themselves. Okay? And here's where so many students of the Course get into trouble, as Ken would say, by using the words of the Course in Miracles as a hammer to hit people over the head with. Well, if you're sick, you don't love yourself. Okay then. Does that sound very nice to you to say to someone, anyone, especially a friend? Okay? So Jesus is not talking about the body. All right? Remember, the sickness is the belief in separation. That's the original sickness. All right? So those of us who believe in separation are sick. Okay? And that just means we don't know ourselves. We don't know ourselves enough to love what we're aware of. All right? So people that are walking around in the ego thought system, okay? All right? He says they are asking for the love that would heal them. All right? You'll notice, if you're following along here, Jesus repeats these things over and over again in different words. Okay? So people that are walking around in the ego thought system, they're walking around asking for the love that would heal them. All right? And like the old song used to say, they're looking for love in all the wrong places. Right? And they're crying out for it. The acting out is the cry for love, and they don't even realize it. Okay? If they knew the truth about themselves, they could not be sick. Okay, a logical statement. All right? If I was truly aware of who I am, I could not be in the ego thought system. I could not be aligning myself with the ego thought system. All right? I could not be sick. All right? Because remember, the body is the quote-unquote embodiment of the ego thought system, and the body gets sick. Okay? It's just a reflection of the thought in the mind. The sickness is the belief in separation. And so the ego thought system continues to try to reinforce itself by saying, look, here, you're a body and you're deteriorating. You're getting sick. There's all kinds of things going on. All right? So the ego tries to prove that you're separate. All right? So it's like we're trying to prove it to ourselves. We're separated from God. Right? Isn't that fun? So the task of the miracle worker, thus, all right, those who want to bring the light, those who want the light, those who want the retranslation of the world, and those who want to let that retranslation extend through them, all right, the job now becomes to deny the denial of truth. The denial of truth is that I am not part of the oneness. All right? I am not the offspring of the original source. I am not the offspring of God. That's the denial of truth. So our task is to say, no, we don't want that theory anymore. All right? I don't want that. That's not true. I deny that. All right? And I want to realize who I truly am. All right? He says, the sick must heal themselves, for the truth is in them. So we're not talking about everybody else here, We're talking about me. All right? I have to heal myself. And I do that by realizing that the truth is in me. The truth is in my mind. And I want to connect with it. I want it to rise up in my awareness. And then the healing occurs. The healing is the mind is no longer split. Okay? So the sick must heal themselves, for the truth is in them. Yet having obscured it, the light in another mind must shine into theirs, because the light is theirs. That light is theirs. So I have obscured the light. It's in me, but I have obscured it. Okay? So the light of another mind, right, must shine into mine, right, with the same exact light, because that light is mine, right? And that light is originally Jesus, the historical Jesus that we know of, right? And the Jesus who declared himself to Helen Schuckman as the carrier of this message, right? He was the one that gave Helen the message, gave Helen the books, okay? So that light is shining into our mind. And then along the way, you find other teachers in whom the light is a little stronger, right? They're half a step ahead of you, all right? They become your teachers, right? They, you sit with them, you talk to them, however you experience them, and you have these incredible, moments of awareness, right? And there's plenty of people who are carrying the light, Okay? In so many different ways, they reflect the light of heaven. All right? Jesus is going to tell us that he woke up, he was like the first one. Okay? And we in the Western world, in a Judeo-Christian society, we take that, okay? We're familiar with that, all right? In the East, there are many, many teachers also, all right? And, you bring out Buddha. The name itself means the awakened one, all right? Buddha walked around looking, searching for truth. Until one day he sat under the banyan tree and heard the river, and the awareness of truth dawned on him. The light became bright, and he became the light to shine into others. Okay? Even though they had the light, it was obscured. So he shined the light, just as Jesus did, shining the light into us. All right? And that's the same light that is in us. All right? Only we're running around like a nut, obscuring the light. Okay? And as Jesus will tell you, it doesn't make you bad, it just makes you miserable. Okay? And you get a break from the misery every now and then, but by and large, as that saying goes, life's something else, and then you die. All righty then. Stop me before I go too far away. All right? The light in another mind must shine into theirs, because that light is theirs. Paragraph 2. The light in them shines as brightly, regardless of the density of the fog that obscures it. If you give no power to the fog to obscure the light, it has none. For it has power only if the Son of God gives power to it. He must himself withdraw that power, remembering that all power is of God. You can remember this for all the sonship. Do not allow your brother not to remember, for his forgetfulness is yours. But your remembering is his, for God cannot be remembered alone. This is what you have forgotten. To perceive the healing of your brother as the healing of yourself is thus the way to remember God. For you forgot your brothers with him, and God's answer to your forgetting is but the way to remember. Right? God's answer to the forgetting, and the A, it's a capital A in answer, so let's just say that's the Holy Spirit. That's God's answer. All right? Is the way to remember. And the way we use the answer is to bring what we're perceiving. Say, look, this is the way I see it, and I don't want this anymore. I don't want it. Help me to see correctly. Help me to see with the light. Help me to see with Jesus' eyes. Help me to see what peace looks like. You see, you can use your own words, but you know what the concept is. All right? I want to have this retranslated for me. All right? It's the translation of denial into truth. It's the translation of the ego perception into the truth. Okay? This is what we're practicing here. Okay? And he says, and the way to remember God is to ask the answer, the Holy Spirit, help me to see this brother correctly. All right? Because in this paragraph, he's also telling you that there's one mind. The mind is one. All right? Although we experience things, everything is separate and specific and unique, and and so on down the line, but he's telling us over and over again. That's just part of the denial of truth. That's what the ego does. It separates. Everything is separate. Right? You got to keep them separated. Right? But Jesus says the way to remember the truth is to have that retranslated. Have the Holy Spirit or Jesus translate for you. Okay? And he says the light that shines as brightly, regardless, the light in them shines as brightly, regardless of the density of the fog that obscures it. I mean, you can think of the most despicable people that you can think of, and as Jesus would say in one of the lessons, you've probably already thought of him already, or her, and Jesus is saying that they have the light in them, all right? No matter how dense the fog is, all right? The light in them is the same as the light in you, okay? And that's what we're asking Jesus and the Holy Spirit to help us with. Help me to see that. Because the moment I stop despising this person is the moment I realize that I'm not worthy of being despised either. All right? The moment I stop projecting guilt onto another, I don't have to be guilty. All right? There's no reason for me to project guilt anymore because I'll become aware of my own innocence. He says this is the way to know God. Because when you're in touch with your own innocence, you're in touch with God. This is how you were created. You were an extension of the wondrous innocence of God. All right? That's who you are. Try to take that in and just sit in it, okay? You are that. You are innocent, all right? There's no need to find fault in anyone or yourself, all right? That's just an ego game, all right? And that's the way to remember God, all right? Do not allow your brothers not to remember. All right, they're going to be running around, acting out, acting crazy, scaring you, making you angry, all kinds of things. All right, he says, but don't let them not remember. In other words, I mean, you don't have to do anything, right? It's happening in the mind, right? And you could just ask, be willing to see them correctly. Because the minds are joined. If I'm asking Jesus or Holy Spirit, help me to see this other correctly, I'm willing to see the correction, the translation of denial into truth, all right? Then the translation of my own ego thought system it's gone. I mean, it's translated, let's put it that way. It turns into an awareness of who I am and with whom I'm connected. And I'm connected with God, right? And that's a way to remember God, is to remember yourself. But also don't let the others, your brother, your sister, to be correct now, all right? The others, don't let them forget. And like I say, you don't have to butt in and start teaching them and, preaching and proselytizing and, as Ken would say, hitting them over the head with the Course in Miracles. Right? They have their own path. All right? But since minds are joined, I will ask, help me to see correctly. Help me to see the innocence. And the innocence is for the whole sonship. Okay? The innocence is for the whole sonship, the one mind, okay? Which is what Jesus is going to tell us over and over again. this is what I did for you. I woke up first, okay? And you were with me. You were with me when I awoke. Okay. So, but your remembering is his. For God cannot be remembered alone. All right, it's a one mind thing. This is what you have forgotten. To perceive the healing of your brother is as the healing of yourself is thus the way to remember God. Okay? You want that divine connection. All right? The way to do that is to allow the other to have a divine connection also. I'm willing to see correctly. I'm willing to see the divine in the other. Okay? And I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to say, okay, oh, I see it. No, just ask. All right? I believe, one of the things Jesus was purported to say was, seek and you shall find. All right? Ask and you shall receive. Okay? Knock and the door will be opened unto you. Okay? These are all beautiful ways of saying, allow, all right? I'm asking to see the innocence. It's okay for everyone to be innocent. I say to the people that study with me certain times, you could substitute the word happy, okay? Because if the person who's ticking you off, if they were happy, most likely they wouldn't be ticking you off. All right? They wouldn't be annoying people. They wouldn't be so paranoid. They wouldn't be so self-centered. They wouldn't be, grabbing for everything and anything. All right? Because they'd be happy. All right? Only people who are extremely unhappy and afraid, I might add, are like that. Grabbing for whatever. And have no thought for the other. All right? But we don't have to try to correct them. All we need to do is say, okay, Jesus, I really am willing. I'm willing to let him be included in the circle of happiness here. All right? Okay. And God's answer to your forgetting your brothers is but the way to remember him. Okay? Paragraph 3. Perceive in sickness but another call for love, and offer your brother what he believes he cannot offer himself. Whatever the sickness, there is but one remedy. You will be made whole as you make whole. For to perceive in sickness the appeal for health is to recognize in hatred the call for love. And to give a brother what he really wants is to offer it unto yourself. For your Father wills you to know your brother as yourself. Answer his call for love, and yours is answered. Healing is the love of Christ for his Father and for himself. Right? Healing. Right? The healing of the mind. Right? There's no more split mind. There's not even a chance that there could be separation. That's when the mind is healed. And that's the love of Christ for his Father. It will rise up in your memory again. Right? And there'll be the love of the Father and the love of yourself. Okay? It will rise up in your memory. All right? Because it's there. All right? But this foggy world has obscured it. Okay? My friend Patty would say that's a Plutonian reference, I believe. Right, Patty? All right, the world is a foggy place. So, perceive sickness in the other as a call for love. So the other person is believing they're separated from God. That's the sickness. All right, so perceive that in that person as a call for love, no matter how they're acting it out. Okay? And offer it to them. All right? Offer to them what they think they can't offer themselves. All right? And the way we do that is in the mind. All right? Once you come to the right mind and you ask, help me to see the love in this situation. All right? Help me to see it correctly. What does kindness look like? All those things. Once you ask, who knows? You may be guided to say something. You may be guided to do something. Sometimes it's what I like to refer to as a very loud idea. Okay? So, but be careful of the loud ideas. Jesus always says, check with me first. You know? All right? But you don't necessarily have to do or say anything. It's not about action. It's about being. It's about being connected with the memory of who you are and allowing that to come through to this other, this brother who has forgotten how to help himself. All right? This brother who thinks he's bereft of love. We can help them. We supply the love. Okay? No matter what the situation, no matter what they think they're calling for, the answer is love. Okay? And that's what comes through us when we ask, help me to see this correctly. I'm willing to see the light in the other. Okay? And you can tell Jesus, I've told him innumerable times, all right? Jesus, sometimes I'd rather poke him in the eye than ask to see his innocence, okay? Because that's that ego part that thinks if you allow the innocence, all right, if you say I'm willing to see the innocence, you're going to get trampled on, you're going to get taken advantage of, you're going to have to give something up. Something is going to be asked of you, all right? And that's not the case, all right? And the more we practice this, the more you see, oh, I didn't have to give up anything. And at the end, Jesus, well, toward the end of the book, Jesus says, you'll see when this really dawns on you that for all this, you gave up nothing, all right? For the awareness of who you are. You gave up nothing, okay? But the ego will tell you, no, they always get away with it. If you let them get away with it, they're going to take over the country. You know, I mean, it goes from, personalized to big stuff. It's all the ego. It's all the same problem. All right? The problem is, I believe I separated from love, which is who I am. And now I look out and I see all these problems. Alrighty then. And the way to know God again is through the other. All right? Be willing to see the light in them, and the light in you will grow stronger. And you will know God. And you will see that you didn't have to give up anything to do that. All right? And you didn't have to do anything either. Which is always like a special lure for me. Kev, you don't have to do anything. Oh, good. All righty then. So, just to reiterate, in paragraph 2, paragraph 3, sentence 2, whatever the sickness, there's but one remedy. Remember to keep repeating that. One problem, one solution. Okay? You will be made whole as you make whole. Okay? I'm willing to see the wholeness in my brother. I'm willing to see that he's part of the oneness. I'm willing to see that he's not separated from God. He says, you make yourself whole that way. Okay? For to perceive in sickness the appeal for health is to recognize in hatred the call for love. So this person might be exuding hatred, might be preaching hatred, all right? But underneath it is really the call for love, okay? So he says, you'll be made whole, because to perceive in that sickness, that belief in separation, which is the cause of the hatred, all right, to perceive in that sickness an appeal for health, all right, which is an appeal to reunite with God, all right, is to recognize in hatred the call for love, all right? And Jesus will often say that, you know, the denial of who you are was like the first act of hatred. I want to be separate. Why do you want to be separate? Well, I hate this. I hate this oneness thing. Alrighty then. All right. And to give a brother what he really wants is to offer it unto yourself. You're going to hear that in so many different ways. All that I give is given to myself. Giving and receiving are simultaneous. You're going to hear these themes repeated over and over again. That's why Ken always liked to refer to the Course as just this beautiful symphony, right? Where the motifs and the leitmotifs and the themes, where you could hear them throughout the course of the symphony. Okay? Alrighty then. So, your Father wills you to know your brother as yourself. Okay? Answer his call for love, and yours is answered. Okay? Because, I mean, stop and think about it. The things that I do everything is that call for the love that I think is missing. Okay? Oh, and there's many ways to try to satisfy that call, so to speak. All right? So healing is the love of Christ for his Father and for himself. So we are healed when we remember who we are. That's the final absolute healing. Okay? And there will be wonderful little healing moments along the way, all right, in the practice. So you don't have to wait for the big, you know, like the big gift at the end, all right? There's no, the prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jacks, for those of you who are old enough to remember that. Right? You don't have to wait for that. There's prizes all along the way, right? And the prizes are the tranquility, the moments of tranquility, the smile, all right? The realization, the glimpses, the reflections of knowing. Okay? So, paragraph 4. Remember what was said about the frightening perceptions of little children, which terrify them because they do not understand them. If they ask for enlightenment and accept it, their fears vanish. But if they hide their nightmares, they will keep them. It is easy to understand an uncertain child, for he recognizes that he does not understand what his perceptions mean. Okay, just let me reread that because I substituted the wrong word. It is easy to help an uncertain child, for he recognizes that he does not understand what his perceptions mean. Yet you believe you do understand yours. Little child, you are hiding your head under the cover of the heavy blankets you have laid upon yourself. You are hiding your nightmares in the darkness of your own false certainty and refusing to open your eyes and look at them. Okay? It's another theme in the Course is look. Okay? Look directly at the ego. Look directly at your nightmares. Okay? This is not that kind of therapy that says, well, if you're afraid of an elevator, you got to keep taking elevators. It's not what we're talking about here. We're saying that just to look. Okay? Don't hide the nightmare. Right? Don't hide that thought of guilt. Okay? No matter how it manifests. Okay? Don't hide it. Right? Because if you hide it, you'll keep it. Okay? He says, you believe you understand your perceptions. But if you, as he says earlier in that paragraph, if you ask for enlightenment and accept it, your fears will vanish. Okay? And if we sit down for some self-examination, I mean, no matter what, you could stop yourself anytime during the day. And what was I thinking? What was those last thoughts that came by? You know? Oh, I got to get hydrated. Okay, well, okay, that's a good idea. But if you raise it to an anxiety level, it becomes, it has a fear, it has a way of controlling you. Okay, all these things, I got to do this, I got to do that. Right? Oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. No, I got to do this, I got to prepare for 20 years down the road, and all that is well and good, because we're still here in form, but we don't need to make it anxiety producing. And the way to do these things is to say, oh, well, help me to see this, help me to see it correctly. Okay? Oh, someone you love has to make a will and they're talking to you about it. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't talk to me about that. He says you're hiding your fear. Okay? There's ways of doing everything and saying, just help me to see this correctly. I don't want the fear. Okay? Things need to be done in this world, but they don't need to be done with the foundation of fear. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. I think I'm making silly examples, but my friend Emily used to love to refer to whistling past the graveyard. Okay? He says, don't hide your fear. Bring them. Right? Everything that bothers you, whether it's about somebody else or about yourself. Everybody's got these secrets they keep about themselves. All right? Bring that secret to Jesus. Say, all right, Jesus, you and me sit down. I got to talk to you about this. All right? And I'm willing to see it correctly. All right? That's the process, basically. Okay? So, he says, you're hiding your nightmares in the darkness of your own false certainty and refusing to open your eyes and look at them. Okay? What's popping up in my head now is basically one of the nightmares that I hide with my own false certainty is the fear of love. The fear of God, the fear of encountering the original source, because there's something that's still lurking in my ego mind that says, you encounter God, you're done. You're done for. He's going to obliterate you. All right? In whatever form, whatever fearful form that takes, he's going to obliterate you. So that's one of the things we hide with our own false certainty. Right? Nothing wrong here. I'm okay. I'm doing fine, thank you. So he says, look straight at every image that rises to delay you. All right? So he says in paragraph 5, let us not save nightmares, for they are not fitting offerings for Christ. And so they're not fit gifts for you. Take off the covers and look at what you are afraid of. Only the anticipation will frighten you. For the reality of nothingness cannot be frightening. Let us not delay this, for your dream of hatred will not leave you without help. And help is here. Learn to be quiet in the midst of turmoil, for quietness is the end of strife, and this is the journey to peace. Look straight at every image that rises to delay you, for the goal is inevitable because it is eternal. The goal of love is but your right, and it belongs to you despite your dreams. All right? He says, love is your right and it belongs to you no matter what your dream is. And the dream is that, oh no, that's not me. That's the original dream, that I could be separate. Okay? So he says, look straight at everything. He says, let's not delay. Okay? He says, the only thing that frightens you is the anticipation. All right? So you call your father, you call your mother, you say, there's something in there, there's something there. All right? There's something downstairs, there's something there. And they say, well, come on, let's go, let's go. And so as you're about to open the door, it's the anticipation, all right? Then when you open the door and your daddy's there, your mom's there, someone you love is there, okay? And they open the door and you see there's nothing there, right? The nothingness is not frightening. And Jesus keeps telling us the ego thought system is nothing. Right? You believe in nothing. Right? You're frightened by nothing. Okay? It's just your thoughts that make it real. Okay? So he says, look straight at every image. All right? He says, learn to be quiet. Learn to be quiet in the midst of turmoil. Right? I was just talking with a friend of mine over the internet about different ways that different cultures would say this. Learn to be quiet, right, in the midst of turmoil, right? And one of the things we were talking about was the Chinese might say that you stop the monkeys from chattering, right? The monkeys are chattering in the tree, right? The monkeys are nervous, all right? So quiet the monkeys. Learn to quiet the monkeys in the midst of turmoil. Okay? He says, because quietness is the end of strife. Right? So we become quiet, we go to the right mind, as Jesus will refer to it as the stately calm within. Right? And there is the garden where peace grows. And peace arises in your mind. All right? This is the end of, that's the end of strife. And this is the journey to peace. Okay? And he says, and the goal is inevitable. It's inevitable that you're going to get there. All right? And why is that? Because it's eternal. All right? And everything else is not. everything else will end. All right? And then all you're left with is peace. Okay. But the goal is inevitable. At one point, Jesus will say, once the journey has begun, the goal is inevitable. Okay? The goal of love is but your right, and it belongs to you despite your dreams. So no matter what you think about yourself, the goal of love is your right, and it belongs to you. Love belongs to you, no matter how you see yourself in dreams. All right. Paragraph 6, okay? You still want what God wills, and no nightmare can defeat a child of God and his purpose. For your purpose was given you by God, and you must accomplish it because it is his will. Awake and remember your purpose, for it is your will to do so. What has been accomplished for you must be yours. Do not let your hatred stand in the way of love, for nothing can withstand the love of Christ for his Father, or his Father's love for him. Okay? He says, don't let your hatred stand in the way of love. And the original hatred is the desire or the thought that says, I could be separate from this. Okay? And then we become afraid. Say, I gotta get out of here. Right? All of a sudden we're afraid of retribution because we're now aligned. The decision-making part of the Son is aligned with the ego thought system. And the ego thought system says, all right, now you did it. Right? You got to get out of here, which is the mind. All right? So he says, let's go. And we project. And we have no idea how powerful the mind is. All right? At one point, Jesus says, every thought produces form at some level. Okay? Let's get Stephen Hawking and talk about that one. Okay? Every thought produces form on some level. Okay? So the mind is very powerful, in other words. Don't try to figure it out. So the thought is, oh, I got to get out of here. Boom, I project. And the mind, the one mind of the Son, splits into billions and billions of fragments. Untold number of fragments. Right? On untold levels of awareness and consciousness. Okay? And there we are. We think we got away with it. We're hiding among the trees, as they say in the story of Adam and Eve. Okay? And each fragment we could point to and say, it wasn't me, I didn't do it, they did it. They're the guilty ones. And that's what we take with us into this experience in the world. It's our projection of guilt. So that's the hatred he's talking about. All right? He says, don't let that hatred keep you. All right? Do not let your hatred stand in the way of love. Okay? For nothing can withstand the love of Christ for his Father. He says, no nightmare can defeat a child of God in his purpose. All right? And your purpose is to reunite, to remember who you are. That's your purpose. And to allow that to extend to the mind, to all the others, so to speak. All right? That's the purpose. And he says, you can't be defeated in that purpose. All right? So relinquish the hatred, because you still want what God wills. All right? Now, let's go to paragraph 7, okay? And you might, or might not, remember this from the New Testament, all right, where Jesus is talking to his friends his disciples. I believe it was at the Last Supper, or one of the last days anyway, when he said to him, a little while and you won't see me. And then in a little while you will see me. All right, just paraphrasing, obviously. But Jesus leaves out the part here that says, in a little while you won't see me. Okay? He begins this paragraph with, a little while and you will see me. All right? For I am not hidden because you are hiding. Okay? I will awaken you as surely as I awakened myself, for I awoke for you. In my resurrection is your release. Our mission is to escape from crucifixion, not from redemption. Trust in my help, for I did not walk alone. And I will walk with you as our Father walked with me. Do you not know that I walked with him in peace? And does not that mean that peace goes with us on our journey? Very powerful little paragraph. All right? It's a little while and you will see me, because I'm not hiding. All right? I'm not hiding just because you are. Okay? In other words, there's another place that says you're at home in God dreaming of exile. So you're hiding. All right? It's like my pretty little cat, my wonderful little cat, or our cat, I should say. Gene and I have this wonderful cat, Dixie. You might have heard her. All right? But we'll find her under a blanket. We'll be looking all over the house. Where is she? Next thing you know, you see this little lump under the blanket. And she thinks because she doesn't see you, all right, you can't see her. You're not there. She doesn't see you. You're not there. Right? So Jesus is saying that's not the way it is. He says, I'm not hiding just because you are. Right? You will see me. Right? In a little while, and you will see me. Right? He says, I will awaken you as surely as I awakened myself. Right? Because I awoke for you. It's the one mind concept again. I awoke for you. I am the peace of the mind that woke up. All right? And you were there with me. All right? You're just trying to catch up. All right? As I believe it was Plato said that all learning is remembering. This is what Jesus is telling us. You're just reviewing things that have gone by. All right? And you'll get to the part where you realize who you are. All right? When you're done with your review. All right? But Jesus says, I will awaken you as surely as I awakened myself, for I awoke for you. So it would behoove us to ask him for help. Because he says, I didn't do it without help. All right? And I'm here to help you. All right? In my resurrection is your release. And we're not talking about the body. All right? We're talking about the resurrection of the thought system. The memory arose in his mind. And he was released from the ego. Right? Which is... they use the word the crucifixion to be a metaphor for the ego thought system. Okay? In my resurrection is your release. Our mission is to escape from crucifixion, so escape from the ego thought system. All right? Our mission is to escape crucifixion, not to escape from redemption. All right? Although he says that's what you're really afraid of. So our mission is to be redeemed, to escape from this ego thought system. And he says, trust in my help, because I didn't walk alone. Jesus said, I didn't do this by myself. Okay? But he says, but trust in my help, because I didn't do it by myself either. Okay? He says, I will walk with you as our Father walked with me. So in his mind, he was aware of his connection with God. He was aware of his connection with his Father. That's one of the things they accused him of, crimes and blasphemy, when he would tell them, I and the Father are one. They said, what? What, are you kidding me? All right, that's blasphemy. We'll get you for that. But he was at peace because he was aware of his connection to his Father. Right? His mind was peaceful. Right? No matter what it looked like to the rest of us humans. Okay? He says, do you not know that I walked with him in peace? And does that not mean that peace goes with us on the journey? All right, so the more I connect with Jesus as my guide, as my friend, as my higher self, as my mentor, all right, the more I connect with him, help me to see this correctly. Help me retranslate what I'm seeing here. Take my hand and walk me through this. All right, the more I connect with him, the more peaceful I will be. The more peace you will experience. All right? And Jesus says your forehead will be more serene, and there'll be that knowing smile on your face. You will be peaceful more and more the more you ask for the help. Help me to, look at this nightmare in the closet. All right? Help me to see this brother correctly. Help me to see this sister correctly. All right? Help me to see my experience in life correctly. He says, I'm walking with you. All right? Let me take your hand and you will be peaceful. All right? And we will come to know God. He says, there is no fear in perfect love, paragraph 8. Right? We will but be making perfect to you what is already perfect in you. Right? You do not fear the unknown, but the known. Okay? You don't fear the unknown, you fear the known. You will not fail in your mission because I did not fail in mine. Give me but a little trust in the name of the complete trust I have in you, and we will easily accomplish the goal of perfection together. For perfection is and cannot be denied. To deny the denial of perfection is not so difficult as to deny the truth. And what we can accomplish together will be believed when you see it as accomplished. All right? Because denying the truth is very difficult. All right? I mean, it's so difficult that you have to rest every now and then. You're like Sisyphus pushing a rock up the hill every day. All right? That's the result of the denial of truth. Right? So he says to deny the denial of perfection is not so difficult as to deny the truth. So just to say, no, I don't want the ego thought system anymore. Could you help me? Help me to see correctly, please. And we go around correcting everything that we become aware of, all our projections. Right? And that's how we become more and more peaceful. Right? And he says, and we can accomplish this together. All right? And what we can accomplish together will be believed. All right? You'll believe it as you see it more and more, when you see it as accomplished. All right? You'll notice. You'll just notice. It's ineffable at times. You can't describe it. But all of a sudden you have this change. Oh, and everything is a bit more tranquil, with the help of Jesus, your brother, your friend, your guide, your higher self, who you truly are, the memory of who you are. So, paragraph 9 says, you who have tried to banish love have not succeeded, but you who choose to banish fear must succeed. All right? The Lord is with you, but you know it not. Your Redeemer liveth and abideth in you in peace, out of which he was created. Would you not exchange this awareness for the awareness of fear? When we have overcome fear, not by hiding it, not by minimizing it, not by denying its full import in any way, this is what you will see. This is what you will really see. Okay? You cannot lay aside the obstacles to real vision without looking upon them. For to lay aside means to judge against. If you will look, the Holy Spirit will judge, and he will judge truly. Yet he cannot shine away what you keep hidden, for you have not offered it to him, and he cannot take it from you. Okay? In other places, Jesus said, I don't want to deny the power of your mind. And the power of the mind is to choose. Help me to see this correctly. I'm tired of the ego. I'm tired of the ego in this case. Help me to see correctly. Okay? That's what he's talking about by looking at it. I'm looking at what my ego is telling me. I'm looking at what I believe in the ego. And I say, I don't want that anymore. Okay? And he says, then you'll get to peace. He says, when we have overcome fear, right? So just let me go back one sentence in that paragraph 9, sentence 3. He goes, your Redeemer liveth and abideth in you in peace, in the peace out of which he was created. All right? So your Redeemer lives in you. Right? And abides in the peace from which he was created. Okay? So the peace in which you were created is in you. All right? And he says, and when you have overcome fear, this is what you'll see. Okay? But he puts in, parenthetically, when you overcome fear, not by hiding it, not by minimizing it, and not by denying its full import in any way. So we don't deny, yeah, this is what I'm thinking, right? I'd rather slap him around and say hello, right? I'd rather watch him fall, right, than say hello. Or to see the innocence in him, all right? He says, notice, he says, look at the full import of that fear. There's some kind of fear there, okay? That you have to keep him guilty. Okay? So, but once you lay aside these obstacles, okay, when we overcome fear by asking for Jesus' help, by asking for the Holy Spirit's help, all right? Help me to see correctly. I'm willing to see correctly. This is what you'll see. You'll see the peace. You'll be aware of the peace that's in you already. Okay? You'll see it. You'll be aware of it. All right? So he says, you cannot lay aside the obstacles to real vision without looking upon them. All right? For to lay aside means to judge against. Oh, I don't want it. I'm looking at it, but I don't want it anymore. Okay? That's the way to get rid of it. That's the way to relinquish, to lay aside. Right? If you will look, the Holy Spirit will judge. Okay? And remember, the Holy Spirit's judgment, there's only two things. All right? It's either love or a call for love. So if you think you're a horrible person because you hate your next door neighbor, all right, but you're willing, now all of a sudden you're tired of it, you see that it doesn't bring you peace, right? And you ask the Holy Spirit, how can I see this correctly? Right? So don't be afraid. The Holy Spirit's not going to judge you. Holy Spirit is going to see your fear, your projection of guilt as a call for love that you think is missing. All right? And he will provide that for you and let that come through you for your neighbor. Okay? Yet he cannot shine away what you keep hidden, for you have not offered it to him, and he cannot take it from you. All right? You have the power of choice. You know, Jesus just can't come into the world and say, okay, you people have really screwed it up. Stop. It's time to stop. All right? Just end it. All right? It's not happening. We got to choose peace. We have to choose to see through the eyes of love. We have to choose to allow love to come through us, and then we become aware of it. And then what's going on in the world becomes meaningless, and eventually we're okay with letting it dissolve into the nothingness from which it came, as Jesus will say later on. So, paragraph 10. You are therefore embarking, excuse me, we are therefore embarking on an organized, well-structured, and carefully planned program aimed at learning how to offer the Holy Spirit everything you do not want. He knows what to do with it. You do not understand how to use what he knows. Whatever is given him that is not of God is gone. You must look at it yourself in perfect willingness, for otherwise his knowledge remains useless to you. Surely he will not fail to help you, since help is his only purpose. Do you not have greater reasoning for fearing the world as you perceive it than for looking at the cause of fear and letting it go forever? Do you not have greater reason for fearing the world as you perceive it than for looking at the cause of fear and letting it go forever? Okay. So this is, as we say, chapter 12 in the text, which came first. And Dr. Wapnick would say, Helen, this is Jesus telling Helen that we're just starting on this well-organized, well-structured, and carefully planned program aimed at learning how to offer the Holy Spirit everything you do not want. Okay, so at this point, Helen was unaware that there would be a workbook with 365 lessons which would help us to offer the Holy Spirit everything we do not want. And then there would be a manual for teachers, as they say. And then there were pamphlets. There were 2 more pamphlets, I believe. All right, about prayer and one about psychotherapy. So, Helen at this point was unaware that there was more to come. But he's telling you we are embarking on a well-structured program, carefully planned, that will help you to bring everything you don't want to the Holy Spirit. And that's the key. Bring it all to the Holy Spirit. Don't hide it. All right? Don't hide it. Divide it, we used to say. Okay? We don't want to hide anything. And that's the way to come to know God. All right? To come to know yourself by not hiding any thoughts you have about yourself or the other. Okay? And I guess we can leave it there. Okay? Thank you for being here. All right? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to read these words and connect with the mind from which they came. However briefly I do that. All right, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Love you all.